Welcome, everyone. I'm Mandi, and I'm going to show you how to build a conversation simulation with the authoring tool iSpring TalkMaster, which is a PowerPoint plugin. This is an iSpring TalkMaster beginner course. First, we'll look at a simple conversation simulation I already built, and then we'll learn how to build it in two parts. The first part is the important script writing or dialogue tree pre-work, and the second part is using TalkMaster to bring our simulation to life. By the time you're done with this course, you'll be able to build your own dialogue tree and build your own TalkMaster conversation simulation. Let's get started. Now we're going to take a look at the simulation we're going to build today. Before we dive in, I wanted to give you some examples of when you might want to use a conversation simulation. It's for any kind of conversation that you're trying to train your user on how to respond. I've used this for motivational interviewing. You could use it for any kind of customer service representative training, training teachers how to respond to parents and students. It's a safe environment for people to practice their conversation skills while getting the real-life consequences of what they might say. Here, the person we're talking to will be able to make different facial gestures depending on the responses you pick. So let's jump right in here and take a look at this simulation. The one I'm about to show you today and the one we're going to build is very simple. These can get a lot more complicated, but we're going to start with a very basic example. Right here, a message pops up and it says, "Welcome, you're playing a housing partner that is helping your member determine their income for program purposes." And then you're going to go ahead and start the simulation by clicking Start. This is a direction slide. I like to add these in. I think that when anybody sits down to take any of the courses, directions must be plain and simple to understand. Your tenant to the right will speak to you in this speech bubble, and you'll reply to him by clicking on the response or best answer that displays in this box. Click here to begin your conversation simulation. So we can click. You can see right here, Mr. Perez's face kind of changed and is ready to start talking. And we're going to jump off with our question to him. Do you receive any monthly income besides Social Security income? His response is, "No, I don't have a job at this time." And you can see that his facial expression changed. Now let's see what happens when I choose the incorrect answer. I chose the incorrect answer, and I can see a message popped up that says incorrect. You need to ask follow-up questions. That's what this is all about. I have this module set up for anytime anybody gets something wrong, it just sends them back to the question. You don't have to do that, but I did that in this. Continue. And now I'm going to pick the correct answer. I've earned 30 points. And there's a message that pops up that I customized, and it says, "Great job. You asked a follow-up question to help your member understand what program guidelines count as income." And now we can keep going. You just hit continue. Now he's saying, "Oh, I have a family member who sends me money every now and then." I'm just going to click the correct answer to show you. How often is now and then? Again, a message comes up. Click continue. Yes, she sends me $100 a month. Let's make sure to list this amount as income. So now I'm going to go ahead and pick the correct answer again, just so we can keep moving through this. You can see another great job comes up. I scored 100 points. I have this particular course mapped so that no matter what, they're going to get to that 100. But there's all different kinds of ways that you can map the scoring. At the end of this module, I had to always ask follow-up questions to help your member understand what program guidelines count as income. These feedback slides you're seeing at the end are highly customizable. Again, this is a very simple example of a conversation simulation. Now let's get started building this. Now we're going to go over the dialogue script, and I'm going to show you how it matches up with the user interface on the project side. Over here's my script. Over here's the conversation simulation we just went over. And I'm going to show you Anytime I used this icon, it's to help me realize what the message is going to say. Anytime you see this icon in the script, it's what my person I'm speaking with is saying to me. And then this arrow is indicating my replies. So when I come over here, you can see it's my welcome language. If I hit start, you can see now that what's in my client's speech bubble is written over here. And you can see the reply down here. Now the simulation is starting. Do you receive any monthly income besides Social Security? That was just cut and pasted from this script here. And now as we scroll down a little bit, we can see scene 4 really starts the simulation. My client is saying, no, I don't have a job at this time. I cut and pasted it here. I can see what the responses are. And I can see here what pops up in those messages when they choose the correct or incorrect response. So here I'm going to choose the incorrect response because that's what we did when I demoed it for you. It's incorrect. The message pops up. And that message here was pulled from right here when I built it. This whole script was used to fill in what the responses will be, what my client is saying back to me, and all the messages. So we're going to go ahead and hit continue, and we're just going to watch as this plays out. You know I'm going to pick the correct one here because that's what we did when we demoed. I'm getting the points. See the great job listed over here? You can see the response matches what was written over here. If we hit continue, we're going to the next scene. Scroll down. All the language matches up. He's saying this. These are our responses. And this is what I wrote as a message to come up as user feedback. So let's pick the correct one here and see what happens. The feedback matches. And if we were to keep going, it would all keep matching. We were almost done anyway. It would definitely take you a very long time to start from scratch within TalkMaster without writing your script outside of TalkMaster. Let's say you wrote something in your script and you weren't happy with what it said when you were maybe testing it. You can make little changes fairly easily within TalkMaster. But again, the primary purpose of TalkMaster is to build the simulation, not write it up. Next up, we're going to take a look at how to build it using this script. We're going to select Role Play. Then we'll select New Role Play. And to start our scene, we're going to select New Scene. This is the box that pops up. This box is where you put your content. This box is where we're going to add our character and background. And this box is what scene color we're going to make each scene. We're going to start back at content. Right here is where we're going to add all the language that we wrote up in our script. If it's character speech, it will go here. If it's the replies, we'll use the plus sign and add the replies. And if it's a message, we'll select Add Message and just cut and paste our message in here. When I go back to my script, I can see that we started off with a message. I know that because I can see I use the icon indicating a message. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this language, select Add Message, and I'm going to paste my message that I've already written. Up along here, you can see this is where you'd add an image or add a hyperlink. You can use bullets, and then you can customize the font very minimally. Now we're going to select the Image tab. iSpring allows you to add a character 3 different ways. You can use the built-ins down here. You can click on the top right-hand side and add a character from your own files. And the third way is to select from the content library. We're going to select Add from Content Library. A ton of different characters come up. You can do cartoons or you can do real life characters. And there's so many to choose from. iSpring updates these throughout the year. Notice that you can filter. Like if we wanted to do just people from 40 to 60, it'll filter it out. If we wanted them to be wearing office clothing, they're different races. But I'm going to take these filters off. On the right-hand side, you can actually look at what their different facial expressions will look like. So down here, we're going to choose Adonis. Right here, we can see Adonis looking normal, looking happy, looking puzzled, looking unhappy, and looking angry. And now just to show you how different each one might look, we can choose Manny. There's Manny angry. There's Manny unhappy. That's her puzzled look. That's her normal look. And that's her happy look. Today, we are going to use Alan as our character. Once you select your character, you select Insert. And now we can see up here that he is the character that has been chosen. On the left-hand side, you have another opportunity to look at his different emotions. Now we're going to add a background to the simulation. You select Background. And again, there are 3 different ways you can add a background. You can use the built-ins down here. You can add a background from your own asset catalog by clicking Add Background and pull it off your computer. Here's some custom ones I added in. But we're going to, again, choose from the content library. You can see there's lots of different content to choose from. I would not get caught up in how they labeled things on the side. For example, although the conversation simulation I'm showing you is not in a hospital, I pulled the hospital background because I liked it. I'm going to filter for the program to just show me the hospital backgrounds so I can choose the scene that I used when I built this. It's labeled ambulance. Select the scene you'd like and then select Insert. Now we've added a character and we've added our background. Select Close. Remember, we added our content already. We've added our character and background. I'm going to hit Close, and the box is going to pop up. By the end of this project, this screen will look similar to here. This beginner dialogue tree was pulled from the script. Scene 1 is represented in this box. Scene 2 is represented in this box. Scene 3, so on and so forth. The dialogue tree that was made represents how a user moves through the simulation. So on scene 4, which we selected the incorrect answer when I demoed it, this is an example of how the dialogue would work when a user selects the incorrect response. So it would get a message that they've selected the incorrect response, and this arrow indicates that the user gets put back to scene 4. Now, as I said earlier, this is a very simple dialogue tree. These can get very lengthy if you're doing a more complicated simulation. For example, if we had a user choose the incorrect answer on scene 4, maybe scene 5 branches off into a whole nother scene because you realize your user might need some more skill building in that instructional area. But if they got it correct, you wouldn't want to send them through the same path as somebody that got it incorrect. But again, let's jump back to keeping it simple. And that's what we've done here. So this is what we're going to be building eventually here. We already have our first square built. In this program, after you build your scene, you're going to pull this little link to start another scene. So now we need to start working on scene 2. Same box comes up. We get to choose if we want the character to be happy, normal, puzzled, unhappy, or angry. I have it set up for him to be just normal. And now I need to go back to my script so I can add in what the tenant's dialogue is. I go back to my script. I'm just going to copy and paste what my tenant is saying. And I'm going to copy and paste the reply. I'm going to select Add Replies, and there's just one on this one because this is a direction slide. We're going to change him back to happy. This little circle pops up indicating that we have no link for the reply because every time a user gets to choose a reply, they need to be given some feedback on that reply. So this is the program's way of letting us know, hey, there's no message added. Up here, this is an indication of the starting scene. So according to our script, we start asking our question in scene 3. Here's scene 3. In scene 3, we want him to just look normal, and we are going to add a reply. I'm going to cut and paste the reply from our script right in. Hit close. Here's another indication that we have a reply with no link. Now we've completed the direction scenes, and now it's time to start with the simulation. So I'm going to drag this link. I'm going to go to my script, and I'll pull the dialogue. Here is my character dialogue. Here is one of my responses. Here is another response. And now we're going to add in those messages that the user will see when they've chosen the correct response and the incorrect response. This first response I know is incorrect, so I'm going to drag the link down here for a new scene. The same box is popping open for us to add in the details we want, but this is an incorrect response, so I'm going to move to the Properties tab, and I'm going to choose red to indicate that this is an incorrect response. When we click back on it, we're going to grab the message that the user will see when they've selected the incorrect response. And we're going to select Add Message. And there's the response that they'll see. If I were just to play this from here, you can see here, no, I don't have a job at this time. When you select the incorrect response we just added, right here, this message pops up. So let's keep going. Let's do our response for when a correct answer is chosen. You click the link, you drag the scene, the box pops open, and I'm going to choose green here because it was a correct response. That's just going to help me while I'm building this remember that the user is going to get to move on if they chose this response. If they chose response 5, which is incorrect, they're going to have to redo this question. You just grab the link and you bring it over to the previous scene. and you link it. As we keep doing this, it's starting to look more and more like our dialogue tree. When the user selects the incorrect response on scene 4, they get a response to indicate that their choice was incorrect, and they move back to scene 4. That's what's happening here. Now, scene 6, we need to add in our response to let the user know that they were correct. So we're going to click on scene 6. We're going to go back to our script, and we're going to pull the language that we've already written and add it in as a message. Now let's add in the next scene. When we drag the link, I'm going to drag it into the middle. I'm going to make this scene blue to indicate that it's still a question. Hit close. Go back to the content. And this is where you really shouldn't be having to do a lot of thinking. You just go to your script. You find scene 7. Here's my icon indicating it's the speech. Copy. Paste. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. We have now built the entire scene. Now, this is kind of an interesting interface because you can make it smaller. You can pull and change, like if you wanted this to go up like a little bit higher. It's user-friendly in that sense. You can just pull everything up. I'm just going to pull it all up. I'll show you. It's super easy. Just attaches. I can see here. We need to change that color. I just hit onto the scene, hit property, change it to blue. And there is an indication here. That's the scene, which matches my dialogue tree. As you can see the red arrows matching the red scenes. Next up, we're going to look at how to add scoring to this conversation simulation. Now I'm going to show you how to set the simulation up for scoring. I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger by selecting the plus. And this is really fun. You can just move this around all different ways, however you feel comfortable. I'm going to move over and select Properties. And over on Properties on this left-hand side, here's the main menu. This is where you can change the title of the simulation. This is the grading section. We want to enable the role play evaluation. And for this one, we're going to have a passing score of 100 because the user has to leave getting 100. If you wanted to lower the passing score down to 70 or just whatever you want, this is where you would lower the score. If you click on Check Final Scores, max and minimum score a user can potentially earn on the final scenes, and you can add in those if you wanted to. Here's a really interesting section that I love. If you are not using an LMS, maybe you're hosting it out on your teacher website, maybe it's just something you're sending for a link for people to use, you can force the user to have to enter in their information. You can customize what information you want to require your user to enter before taking the conversation simulation. We're just going to leave it alone for right now and keep it simple. When we select Result on the left side, You can have a report sent to the user's email. You could send it to any email that you set up to a specific server. Here, if the user passes, you can choose the finish action. Could be nothing. You can close the browser window. You can go to a website. So that's kind of fun. I really like how easy it is to see what the capabilities are in this screen. We went into the main menu and we selected grading enabled. So we're going to get out of this. We'll just select OK. And this is going to allow us to customize the view a bit. If we want to show the title, we can add it here. If we don't want the emotion meter set up here, we don't have to have it. We can take it out. If we wanted the user score to be shown or not shown, or the user score and max score, I'm going to leave it as set up for the user score to be shown. Here you can change some of the fonts, and then you can customize where the buttons appear. I wanted to point out up here, if you wanted to customize the playback and navigation of this, you can do it here in the playback and navigation menu. You could have it to always resume, prompt to resume, or always start over upon restart. Retry, allow user to redo the role play. This is certainly helpful if you don't have it set up for everybody passing. If they fail, you want to give them a shot to easily retry it, you'd select this box. This is where you would change color schemes and all the other stuff that come along with the player. And here's where you can change some of the text that you see with the different buttons and the messages. But we're going to keep it simple today and just leave everything as it is. I'm going to hit apply and close. Now we're going to go into each scene with the replies and add the points that they can receive for selecting the correct response. We already know that these first 3 scenes have to do with explaining who the character is and who you are. These are the directions. This is when the actual conversation simulation begins. So let's click on scene 4, and down right underneath, you can give points for each response. For this one, I'm going to give 0 points because it's incorrect. This is a correct response, so we're going to give 30 points. And again, I have 3 questions. I'm just going to do 30, 30, and 40 points, keeping it very simple, but you can see where you can get into partial points. Like maybe the answer wasn't the best answer, but it definitely moved the conversation forward a little bit. I also wanted to point out that although in our simple conversation simulation, we always have 2 replies to choose from, you could add as many replies as you want. You could just keep adding and assigning different points. But we're just going to keep it at 2. I can delete these just by hitting these X's. So we've set this scene up so that the user receives 30 points if they answer correctly, and no points if they answer incorrectly. If we move on to scene 7, we know that this is the correct answer. I'm going to assign this response 30 points, 0 for the others. We'll go here. We're going to assign this one 40 points, this no points, hit close, and now we should be good. Next, I'm going to show you how to add voiceovers to this project. When you open up the screen, you can see all the dialogue that you've already entered into the conversation simulation. From here, there are 2 different ways to add audio. You could either select this folder and import your audio, or you can record it right here. So let's just see how recording it right here works. You can click, hit Start Record. Welcome. You're playing a housing partner that is helping your member determine their income for program purposes. You can play it. Welcome. You're playing a housing partner that is helping your member determine their income for program purposes. And then you can see it's already appearing here so that when the user is going to take the course, they'll have an option to hit play. Now let's check out the scene and let's see if we made any mistakes that we need to change or if we just don't like something the way it's set up. This flag indicates this is where the scene starts from. I'm going to click on there. I'm going to select the scene. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. I have my final message, and we've completed making this dialogue simulation. Now I'm going to show you how to publish this to a website that comes with the iSpring suite. We're going to go over how to publish your conversation simulation. There's a couple of different options here. I just want to point out that you can publish from the role play scene, the one with the boxes, but we're going to publish out here because normally you'd have additional slides in your training, and this is what it will look like. First thing we do is go to Publish. Then over here on the left, you can either publish to your computer. You can publish to iSpring Space, which is a collaborative space. I'll go into that more later. There's iSpring Learn, which is iSpring's LMS. You can publish it directly to your LMS or directly to YouTube if you don't want any interactions. This option doesn't make sense for an interactive conversation simulation, but you can see if you were doing something else, you can publish it to YouTube here. Let's check out iSpring Space, though. I wanted to show you some of the tools involved. You can click on iSpring Space. You can see the format's HTML. You can see we can change the quality. So let's just, for fun, change the quality. Let's just move it all up. There's different presets you can choose as well. Now we're going to select Publish. And it does take a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. Now we're going to go into the iSpring Space. You could look at it from either clicking on Manage Content, or you can go to the website and check it out. Let's click on Manage Content. I'm cutting off a little bit of this because I can't show some of the information, but you can see the demo that we just made. Click on it. And right here, you can look to see how the simulation will look on different devices. There's the iPad. Here's the iPad sideways. There's the phone. Welcome. There's the phone sideways. Right here is where you can add additional collaborators for your different projects. You can also add it on the main screen, but this is the easiest way. You can share it with your collaborators by just copying the link and sending it to them. Your collaborators can then view the project you sent them, and they can add comments off to the side. When you go to look at the feedback, it's right on the screen, which makes your editing process a lot easier. iSpring Space is a terrific collaborative space, and it comes with the iSpring suite. I wanted to take some time to share with you something I learned about iSpring that I love. Their customer service is the best customer service I've ever witnessed in any program. I've ever used. I wanted to show you how quickly their customer service team answers questions in real time. So I went ahead and posed a question in the chat. Just go to iSpring.com and it comes up with this page, and this pop-up box always comes up and you can always talk to an agent. Here, I did this in real time during this project. I completely forgot where the beta voiceover was. And I asked this agent, and within 3 minutes, he gave me the area screenshots. He told me what to do. The customer service is so superior to any customer service I've ever experienced. They go above and beyond to help you. Well, that's it for today. We've duplicated the conversation simulation. By now, you should be able to go through this and start your own simulation. You can make them more complex. You can add more branching. It's a wonderful tool. It's easy to use. It has amazing customer service. It is not meant for writing your script inside the program. Thanks so much. I've had a great time showing you this tool.